Welcome to No Such Thing as Normal podcast with Natalie Hayes and Jess McKeown.
This is a casual podcast where we talk about all the things that you're not supposed to talk about in order to help you normalize real life because really we're all just a bunch of weirdos having a completely human experience in a society that asks us to pretend like we're not.
And I'm your host, Jess, a gifted channel for the spirit baby realm who facilitates deep soul healing by delivering divine messages and teaching you how to connect with your spirit babies.
And I'm your other host, Natalie, an intuitive mentor, and I was a transformative healer.
Oh, she's transforming into something else. So while
Oh,
she does that, be sure to subscribe where you listen to podcasts, watch our 100% unedited episodes on YouTube. You can also follow us along on the gram for now and
yeah.
at Intuitively Natalie and at McJaguar for more weirdo and woo content.
And if you like this episode or any of the ones that have come before it, because we are on season 4,
Woo!
please be sure to rate and review so that more people can unleash their weird with you. Let's touch on that social media for now. I don't like it.
No,
I don't like it anymore.
no. Um, I am so excited that this mass exodus is happening.
Yeah.
In relation to what's happening with like the shadow banning with Palestine, Gaza
Yeah.
content, genocide content, right? Like
Isn't it called watermelon? Our
that's probably not
watermelon
good for
friends.
business, huh? Mark Zuckerberg. So some of my favorite crystal people have been shadow banned. And this is like a big way that a lot of people make money on Instagram,
Hmm.
which side note to entrepreneurs, don't build your business on somebody else's platform.
You
Build
don't
it
own
on your
it.
website, build your
Hmm.
email list, hot tip.
Hmm.
But they're going to go to Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they do
And
like a paid
Substack.
reading. Yeah, Patreon, Substack. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I haven't dabbled on either of those. I think you had a Substack for a while. What
I
did you
had a
have? Patreon.
Patreon. I liked it.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of like batching content. I just didn't have I didn't have time. Like we tried to, perfect example, we tried to record this episode 3 times this week.
Yeah.
And Maeve decided to drop a nap and that you can't plan. I can't plan anything
Yeah. She
because
didn't
her
tell us.
schedule changes. No, she didn't give me a heads up.
She didn't even like telepathically send us a message like, you know what?
Didn't let me
That
know.
nap, it's out of here.
Yeah, and it's fine.
Um,
We're flexible.
yeah, so it's kind of cesspooly right now on Instagram.
Yeah.
And here's what I want to say. This is what I think. Here's my guys coming in hot. They're hilarious today, you guys. They're like, it's kind of like a microcosm of this world, right? There are
Ooh.
cesspooly parts of this world, and then there are beautiful parts. So, one philosophy that I'm working with right now is how could I bring sunshine to the
Hmm.
cesspool,
Hmm.
right? But also, I want it to be a sunshine on the way out of.
Yeah. Hmm.
Like, and I'm really trying to figure out what platform I want to move to myself. I'm thinking more about YouTube. I don't know, but it's not so fun to be on there.
It's not. It used to be so fun to like create content and put it out
Mhm.
there and engage, and I just like don't feel the drive at all to do that.
Yeah, I know. And
I
I think a lot of content creators are feeling that.
Mhm.
I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know what the jam is like over there. But yeah, I'm just curious what everybody else thinks and if there's platforms that they like or don't like or but I love this idea of not supporting companies that shadow ban us because we have fucking opinions about a genocide. Get the
Yeah,
fuck real.
I know
I'm fired up
everybody.
today.
I mean, I'm going to say something pretty controversial, but like everybody was really gung ho about them blocking Trump, right? From Twitter, from
Mhm.
Instagram, like he couldn't be on there. But like that, all there's another side of that coin. If they can
Yeah.
block him, they can block you.
Yeah.
And that's not like it's freedom of speech. Like you're completely violating that, I feel like. And
Yeah. And mhm.
I know they had a ruling this week, or I don't know, Zuckerberg Meta was under fire for children being on social media this week, and they made like a formal apology to like all of the harm that's been done to children from social media in court or whatever.
Thank you for the apology.
But also it's not your responsibility. Like that's the parents.
Yes, and
Yeah.
they had known information that they did not share with parents until it was
Mhm.
leaked by somebody. Thank you for the
Right.
whistleblowers
That
that
too.
said, "Yeah, we know that this fucks up young teenage girls, and we're just going to continue." So
Hmm.
that's where it's like that was my first turning point where I was like, okay, how do I get off of this platform? What does that look like for me? What is that exodus going to look like? And then this, this kind of bigger Black Lives Matter, there was a lot of exodus. So it's just, you start to realize like, I've been realizing this lately is that like this bullshit is everywhere. This
Yeah.
like trying to cramp in and come down on me. And I feel like I'm getting more and more immune to like systems.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I can just see it. And I'm just like, I don't agree. I don't pay attention to that. That's not for me,
Unsubscribe.
Yeah, unsubscribe. Like that's not part of my reality. So, but it's also like, dang, we are so tied down by so many fucking things.
I know. I see us all being like corralled into this like social media. We thought it was liberating. It's actually really confining. Like
Yes.
when it first came out, the illusion of freedom with social media is now being like shattered.
Yeah. And
You're
like,
still limited.
if they bomb the towers and they bomb your cell service, like you don't have that anymore. Right. And so we talked
No.
about this too. I think in the last episode was like, we're coming back into this in-person creation. We're coming back into finding your communities where you live. Like
Hmm.
you're in this place for a reason, right?
Hmm.
And or a season, as my
Yeah.
guys say. So finding that on the ground and going out and doing things and
Creating it.
and then, just welcome in like whatever stage we are of the pandemic now, and people are wearing masks again. And there's like a measles outbreak in LA. There's all these
Whatever.
crazy like colds going around that aren't,
Hmm.
oh my God, it's just a hot mess.
I
So
know.
stay safe, but like be social with like your 1 to 2 friends.
I mean, there was an episode on the Brady Bunch about measles and they took it off the air and off of you can't find it anymore because they don't want you to think that it's survivable.
What?
Hmm.
Oh my
There was a
God.
whole episode. They all had the measles on the
Oh, I was
Brady
gonna say,
Bunch.
who got it?
They all got it.
That-
They put them all in the room together. Marsha, obviously, so that they could all catch it and get it over with. And I actually read a study that
What?
like, mhm. I read a study in a book. Let's call it a research analysis. There's a book out there about vaccines and whatnot, and there is significant data supporting that if you got measles as a kid rather than getting the vaccine, you have like a 30% chance of not getting cancer, like a 30% higher chance than other people of not getting cancer. It's like those viruses are helpful for your immune system to grow and progress against adulthood issues. It's like what you catch in childhood is actually important for your immune system to work through.
I'm assuming that they developed a vaccine, well, so many reasons,
Hmm.
but because were people dying and not making it through that, like their immune systems weren't strong enough?
There's actually paperwork on the CDC's website that you can look up all of their data about vaccines. When viruses came out, polio, MMR,
Yeah.
whatever, the bell curve up, a bunch of people had it, right? And then when it dropped, that's when the vaccine was created. The vaccine did not stop spread. The vaccine did not really do anything. So do your own research.
Yeah. Always, always.
Mhm.
Um,
I
I,
digress. Social media.
yeah, we're on it. We're still on it. We're still, we're
I don't.
still here, but
I don't think I'm
not
really on it
really.
anymore. I've been reading a lot.
Yeah, tell me about what you've been reading. I've been sending you memes about things that you've been reading.
I know. I I love the but you sent me like a reel or something that was like my life significantly improved when I started reading like smutty fantasy fiction over self-help books.
Yeah.
Like, why did we ever read self-help books? Like my life is actually significantly better, other than the weird grief. I haven't read fantasy since like I don't know, like when Twilight came out. Like, and
Okay.
I was in high school,
Yeah.
and I have a Pisces moon, so I can like really get lost in a book.
Ooh.
And it's like it's hard for me to come out of. I just want to like get to the end and get through it, and I like
Mm.
really go there in my mind. A little groggy when I come out from reading. So I've been reading A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's
Ooh.
Mutt. It's by Sarah Moss. I also read The Fourth Wing and the Iron Flame books by Rebecca Yarrow.
Okay. I need to get
Mhm.
a clear understanding of smut. So when I was young, I used to go to the library and read VC Andrews. Could never check it out because the shame and horror from the librarian.
Mm,
But they were on a little like rotating stack. and
Mhm.
you just like find one with like, the woman with her dress being like, oh, ripped off or
Yeah.
whatever. Are we talking like that? Like he slid his hand down
Yeah.
her thigh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
But then do we
spicy.
talk about like sexy stuff? Like he put his
Yeah.
John Thomas in me or whatever, how they say those.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Are they having sex for like to create like dragons and magical babies, or like they're just hot in Fantasyland?
Not they're just hot in Fantasyland. It's not
All
it's just like
right.
a part of their character
It's like
development.
it's time to do it. Let's do it. And let's
Yeah.
be sexy about it.
Right. It's just like it's interesting. It's just a part of the story. It makes it even better, right?
Yes. I think any kind of literary smut or my new favorite audio is just my favorite. And I wonder if like maybe women like that those genres or those a bit more than just like the video. I don't know. It's just like,
You heard of Naudio?
oh my God, I love that term.
It's like it's audio porn.
I want to do that.
Naudio.
Like I'm trying, how do I fit that into my spirit baby work? I was like, look, if you want to make a baby,
I mean, it's a part of conception process.
listen to Auntie Jess
On Naudio.
on Naughty-O.
You gotta get your Naudio voice.
I would have some like sound effects and be like,
Oh, and I don't know if it's ASMR, but you could probably find a niche
mine
there.
would be, mine
Yeah.
would be. Why do I want to do this? I think it's
Mm,
because I have a lot of interests and a lot of curiosities. And like I said, during the pandemic, I worked so much that I kind of lost all my hobbies and little interests and things. And
mhm,
I'd love to like, I don't know, I'd love to do something like that.
mhm. You should.
How does one get started in Naughty-O?
I think there's probably like a platform you can apply to read a script or create your own. I don't know. I haven't looked far into it. I've been busy reading.
Natalie's like flipping through. She's like, that's Jess. No, there's a couple of things like there's a couple of accounts on Instagram. There's one that's a guy that's like I would call it like a boyfriend account. Have you seen those?
No, I have not seen those.
Okay, this is what I think of it as. And I think this is the sort of shadowy part of this AI and this
Hmm.
whatever that's kind of coming into our world right now. This is an account and he like films himself and he's like, hi, beautiful. Oh, how was your day? Oh, come tell me about it. That's
That makes me
amazing. And
feel
he has
so
like,
weird.
it is. It's so weird. He has like wine and whatever. But I think, like whatever floats your boat, like sometimes people who don't have that, like to have that, even over the screen, that human interaction of somebody that cares about them, it may be a tinge sad.
Hmm.
And then there's like people I found that are just, I think, Naudio actors. What do we call them? Voice
Yeah.
actors?
Hmm.
Not actors. No.
Nectars.
And they have accounts and they'll just do a little like, hey, darling, whatever, whatever.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh,
I know. It's like a thirst trap, like an audio thirst trap.
oh,
Hmm.
about a sexy voice on a guy. I had a friend who was trying to date somebody like over the texting
Hmm.
and then get to the phone call and they did not have a good voice.
It changes things.
It does?
Hmm. Oh yeah. Just like
I
when you
guess
meet somebody
so.
online and then you meet in person and it's like the vibe is not there.
Well, where did it go?
It's just not the same. It's because you build someone up in your head, right? You create this
Mm,
illusion of who you think they are, and then when they
yeah.
show up, it's just like not meeting that.
Yeah.
There's a mismatch.
The expectations killer, right?
I know.
I tell that to people all the time.
Hmm.
It's just such a simple little tidbit,
You could totally have a side hustle as
right?
a sex voice actor.
But I would have to write it. I would love to read somebody else's because that's a lot of effort.
I don't know that you have to write it. I bet there's somebody out there that would write a script that is looking for somebody to just voice over.
Also,
Hmm.
always coming back to my need and want and desire to be a dominatrix at some point in my life. This has to happen. I have to get a dungeon. I
Uh-huh.
have to have
Okay.
subs. It's gonna
Hmm.
happen. I'm feeling it. But there's also ones I'm like, wow, I'm like really
The,
divulging
the moon isn't Scorpio.
how far I've researched this topic, you guys. Well, here we go. Where you can just send over voice memo a
Hmm.
little assignment to your sub. a
Mhm.
little sexy thing, and I'm assuming they pay you, and then you just have like monthly subscribers and you just like get to tell them what to do because like they need that in their life. I don't quite understand that, but
I think you could do that on OnlyFans pretty easily.
okay.
I think that actually you might really enjoy that.
I think I
There's still
would.
that, like, separation,
Hmm.
right? Which gives you a little more freedom.
Hmm.
Mhm. Coming soon,
My
just only.
my guides are saying they're like, you, me,
Mhm.
would probably have to do work to not be energetically connected to all your stuff.
That's also true, Jess. Mhm,
You
mhm.
guys, watch out. Who knows where I'm going?
No.
2024.
OnlyFans.
At the end, the last episode of this will be like, whoosh,
You
OnlyFans.
can. Yeah.
Are there other options besides OnlyFans? I'm not opposed to OnlyFans, but
I don't really know. I haven't delved into it, honestly.
is there an audio that does like that reads that book? Like is there
I
an audio version of that book?
There is, my best friend is listening to it, but I
Okay.
don't know if because it's pretty explicit. So I don't know if they're allowed just like on Audible. Like I don't
Uh,
know if there's like a special platform for smut. I don't
yeah,
know.
we need to find that out. Yeah, because if they're like he slid his boop into the
Right.
boop, we don't
Right.
want
And then
that.
that would ruin the magic. Yeah, it's like
That
half
would
the
can
book. Yeah. I
you
can't.
imagine on Audible? Beep boop boop boop.
I can't. What if the voiceover is a bad voice? What if it, you know?
That would ruin it.
Yeah, my mom friend said that she was listening to a book on audio that she hated because the voiceover actor tried to change the voice. Like it was a male reading the
Oh
story, but if it was a
no.
female dialogue, they would change their voice to try to be. I'm like, stop. I would be so distracted.
I've listened to something like that where it's like, hello, or they just do like a slightly higher
Yeah,
tone or
don't
whatever.
do that. Yeah,
I've definitely like listened to audiobooks on when I used to take the bus and I would get lost and I would miss my stop and I would just
you would.
I get into it. This
I,
one, the one that I was reading had like I don't know if it was the author, but it sounded like this is like it took place in Africa and they had like real, I want to say voice character actors, like they put
mm,
a lot of effort into it.
that would be cool.
I think that would be a cool job to read books.
Hmm.
Hey, smutty authors, do you need somebody to read your
Reach out.
sexy audio
I'll
online?
do voiceover.
Reach
Yeah,
out. Do you want to help make sexy babies in this world?
yeah. I mean, it is. Well, it's all a part of conception.
But I love that you're reading. I
Yeah, I
love,
really
and
haven't
not to
been.
like be like reading's the best or whatever. Um,
I
I
mean,
saw
it's
another,
another form of escapism.
I saw another meme where this girl's like reading a book. She's like reading a book in public, making sure that you look better than everybody else.
Uh-huh.
But it's fun, and I have a couple books that are staring at me. They're like, it's
Mhm.
fun, huh?
It is
Did you want to
fun.
read me?
I mean, I've just been like instead of scrolling, I've been reading.
Yes,
But
I
it's
love
not
that.
like it's better or worse than scrolling. It's still escapism.
Yes, and you wrote in our notes, and you talked about this, the grief about being human, because what in these stories they're not human.
No. And I haven't read, like I said, I haven't read like a fantasy fiction since high school. I don't know what, obviously self-help books have been ruining my life for a decade. I found like I was so into this series, specifically the A Court of Thorns and Roses. And I found like I sped read through the first three books in like a weekend, or
Wow.
like 3, 4 days. And then I was like, oh my God, I am so sad. This is boring. Now I'm bored with my own life because I don't have magic
Dragon.
powers. They're fairies. I don't it's about
Oh,
like fae. Like I'm not fae. I don't have magic. There's not like a greater thing going on that I'm like invested in.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Trigger warning, if you read this book, you might see your life as blah
You might
after.
be a little sad about being human after, but there is like that weird grief about like, God, human life is so boring. And my intuition is like I just have like a better connection. It's like a clearer connection. There's like reading fantasy, especially about like
Mm,
magic and powers and
yes.
different beings. I have found that I feel like a lot more intuitively connected.
Yeah, and my guides are saying like when you read, you kind of have to use your imagination to imagine how to say
Hmm.
the character's name or,
Right.
you
They're
know, like
different voices. Yeah.
what it looks like exactly. Um, and that is and they put it in quotes, but that is the muscle
Hmm.
that we use to channel, to see things, to be intuitive, to be connected, right? Because they use that to kind of
Hmm.
bring us images, symbols, knowings, and whatever. So, yeah, try that if you feel like your intuitive muscle is a little like, read some smutty fantasy or
Read some
just fantasy.
smut. Yeah.
I mean, you might as well get the smut in there. So, like
Yeah.
2 for 1, right?
2 for 1.
Intuitive and an orgasm, it works.
I
I
have
mean,
not personally from a book, but some people maybe.
you have to read one-handed.
Maybe gross.
See,
Gross.
I'm already in my era.
Yeah, I'm telling you, OnlyFans, a viable option for everybody.
What should my name be?
I don't know.
I need to go on one of those like, what's my stripper name or
Yeah.
what's my
You're,
fantasy smut name?
what is it?
Hmm.
You have to dwell on it. We're
Yeah.
taking submissions also if you have any ideas. Tell us if you can think of a good smut fantasy name for Jess's OnlyFans page.
Yeah. And one for Natalie too, just for fun.
I don't think it's a part of my future, but sure.
You can be a guest presenter.
Sure, include me. Sure.
Ah.
Okay, tell me
Okay.
about this tarot class that you took recently.
You guys, shout out to Lindsay Mack.
Oh,
Um,
that's how I
yeah,
learned tarot, was from her course.
she's amazing. She's
Yeah.
actually, I don't think by the time this comes out, it may have already closed, but she opens and closes her programs.
Hmm.
She has a whole tarot school to like, yes, like you said, understand the tarot. What I took was this thing that she developed called tarot anchoring.
Yeah,
And
you haven't told me anything about this.
oh God, it was a 3 hour class. It was a 3 hour class. And basically what she said was that she has a lot going on in her life, right? She had, I think, a pretty difficult birth with her
Hmm.
daughter. She had some other kind of health issues and things going on. And when you're in a really like intense time in your life and you go to the tarot, she was saying, she's like, when I would pull like the happy cards, like the sun or whatever, it felt like they were like gaslighting her. Like she's
Hmm.
like, how can it be fine? How can you give me the sun? Like my life
Hmm.
is falling apart, right?
Hmm.
And then when she would get the harder cards, the death or Five of
The
Pentacles, whatever,
fives. Yeah.
right? She'd be like, oh, how can you beat me when I'm down? Like, I can't do this, right? And so she's like, but she has been using tarot for 20 plus years. And so she
Hmm.
felt really like abandoned by her deck.
Hmm.
And she developed this process where, oh my God, I love it, you guys, called tarot anchoring, where you pick an anchor from the tarot cards to carry you through this journey, right? So you can either just open up the deck and pick out who you want to come with you, or you can kind
Hmm.
of intuitively pick it, right? And she gives a couple ways, like you can envision it, you can pull it, you can choose it, right? And so I did
Hmm.
all three because I wanted to feel like, what did I get in my mind's eye? What did I choose? And what did I pull? And it was so fun to see the different stories. And of course, this is why I pulled the 5 of Pentacles.
Hmm.
And I don't like that card, especially in the Rider Waite. Like
Hmm.
it's just this reminder of like the woe is me and I'm suffering and all this kind
Hmm.
of stuff and blah blah blah. And my guides were like, yeah, that's just a reminder that as you're on this journey, like the light is on inside in the church and you can go in, right? And
Hmm.
I pulled it from Light Seers Tarot. And in Light Seers, there's like a woman and she's kind of like has her head down on her knees and there's like a doorway and it's kind of dark and shadowy, but there's like this big key. And my guides were like, we left the key out for you. Like, of course you're welcome here. Like,
Hmm.
you can come in, right? Like, don't get caught up in your head that there's that separation. Um, and so it's just this idea of like being very active about who's coming with me and then seeing the
Hmm.
cards in those different ways. Then this
Hmm.
other concept she has is called a Karen, not a Karen, a,
Karen.
a Karen.
Uh-huh.
You get a one with the bad haircut? No.
Yeah, like the Mormon choir just popped up in my head.
I know. I always see that Kate +8. I always see
Yeah,
her with the
with the
hair.
shotgun hair. Yeah.
Yes. With like a little hot pink or something.
Hmm.
Anyway, so at Cairn, when you're hiking, people stack rocks and it's like,
Hmm.
hey, this is the way or this is the pathway or whatever. So if there's something that you're going through a lot, right? Like you either have to always deal with a certain person or there's an ongoing situation, you can make a little tarot cairn
Hmm.
of who do you want with you through that.
Mm.
So, what I think about for my clients is say you're going through multiple rounds of IVF or you're going through this infertility journey or whatever it is, right? Who do you want with you on that, right?
Hmm.
Let's bring the Queen of Pentacles. Let's bring the Empress. Like, let's bring, some of these things. And you start to like really get to know the cards and you see them as these archetypes and these friends. And so that was lovely. And then we had these breakout groups.
Hmm.
I think we did it twice. And I loved everybody in my breakout group. And we had such a fun time talking and we geeked out about tarot. And
Hmm.
I cannot tell you how satisfying it was to talk with other people who also know so much about tarot and have so many
Hmm.
interesting ways of looking at things. So of course we all shared like different ways to look at things and what the woman said about one of the women in my group said with the 5 of Pentacles, she's like, yeah, well, the poorer people like weren't allowed in the church, right?
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
was for the wealthy, right? And so just these like you get these other layers of like the cards, their meanings, all this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
It was just so much fun. But what it did was it left me wanting more. It left me wanting that community. And I
Yeah.
felt like a lot of people have been asking me to do some mentorships and create community. And I don't know where I want to do it yet. So,
Hmm.
but this kind of spurred me to go, okay, I really want to do this because there's nothing more fun than sitting around talking with people about this kind of stuff for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Do you love that topic?
The anchor tarot. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's interesting that, I mean, it's just a fancy way of saying like creating your reality versus like succumbing to your current state.
Yeah.
Or like if you don't like the experience you're having, like not changing it. You can, I mean, you can get into a real victim mindset with intuitive work.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's a slippery slope for people who have grown up with a victim mindset. You can have that experience like seeing intuitives to tell you what to do all the time instead of like searching for your own empowering intuitive connection. And so I can see how one would feel like personally victimized by the tarot versus like
Yeah.
picking a card and being like, no, this is the energy I want to embody.
Yes.
This is the
Yes.
energy I'm like I want to move into. It's kind of like using tarot as expansion.
Yeah, and I would also say like then it really kind of depends on the deck because
Hmm.
the decks, like the cards are so different. They have different energies depending on where you're going. But I really liked it. She was also just very well informed and she
Hmm.
has a beautiful container practice around just consent and, you know, just really thinking about, excuse me, like being conscious about this work, about being in community, like really some really good pillars there.
Hmm. I love that.
Sorry, I have to
We
cough.
love
I don't know
consent.
why I'm phlegmy this morning.
Why? Is it because it's in bulk? Spring is coming.
I'm drinking almond milk, my
Ugh.
limp coffee.
It is limp. When you put
It's
milk
so
in
limp.
coffee, it is different. It's limp.
Wait, you don't like any milk in coffee?
No, cream only.
Oh, okay.
No, it's too limp.
Oh my God,
There's not enough fat.
you're like, no.
No.
I agree. I agree. I got some really good cream the other day.
Hmm.
And I usually don't like cream in my coffee.
Hmm.
But I didn't have anything else and I put in a little bit and I was like, oh, this is good.
It's luxurious.
I think it's because I had like nice quality cream.
Hmm.
But this is almond milk today, guys. Almond milk. At least it's not curdling. That's what I want to give it. Usually it curdles. I
Ew.
know, it's disgusting.
Gross. Oh, we
Okay,
wish
but
you
that
all creamy coffee, not limp,
creamy,
full bodied.
creamy,
Stop it.
creamy coffee. See, Natalie's already ready. She's gonna jump on OnlyFans with me.
It's not
It's
me.
fine.
It's not for me.
What is it like? No such thing as normal. OnlyFans edition.
Much.
But yeah, I just it was fun, and I have really loved working with my tarot deck and learning about tarot and just developing my own relationship with it. And I think
Hmm.
I think I shared that I had always been like a by the book girl and look it up and what does it mean. And as I
Hmm.
broke away from that, and even as I go to these other tarot classes and you see how people use this, I'm gonna call it a tool.
Hmm.
It's just amazing. It's amazing what people come up with. And then it really just kind of when I was like, well, fuck, if they're just making up shit and making up spreads and doing whatever the hell they want, so can I. Right. So
Hmm.
then I just started like having fun with it and reading in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting to know your tarot deck is really important too. Not all decks are created equal. If you don't vibe with a deck,
No, and I
get a different
love
one.
that I think one of our offerings that nobody came to, remember that?
Sad.
Was create your own deck.
Oh yeah, we were gonna do that. Oh my gosh,
I
that's
don't
still
know.
such a great idea.
We were ahead of our time.
We
Um,
were.
but I started realizing that is my next level is
Hmm.
let's create my own intuitive deck.
Hmm.
I think that would
I
be fun.
I have like a whole note in my iPhone about like different decks I wanted to create at one time.
Oh, I want to create a deck with my friend, an animal deck because she's an amazing artist, but
That would be cool.
I don't even know how to do some of these things, you know?
It's pretty easy. You don't know how to do it, Jen.
But I mean, like, you have to like channel all the content,
Yeah.
right? And write it. And
Uh-huh.
I just want it to appear.
I mean, it does if you sit down to write it.
Oh my God. I was channeling for some moms who are having these new babies come in, and I was
Mhm.
just like, so they're used to manifesting things. These are like the alien babies.
Yeah.
They're used to having things like instantaneously. I was like, so you might have to work with them on patience and understanding and communication and all this like interesting stuff. It was really interesting to like hear that the babies knew that that was going to be a source of frustration for them.
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
like, why can't I just have the ball if I think about the ball or whatever? Why can't I just have the food? Why do I have to use my words to communicate? But they're also kind
Mhm.
of also getting this understanding of like, oh, okay, I have to do that. So they want to be human. They're coming in for the human experience, but they're sort of like, heads up, this might be a challenging point for us.
And like honestly, I get it. After reading fantasy fiction, like, I get this. I get the sadness. I get it.
Yeah,
I currently have a toddler melting down downstairs.
you can hear her.
Mhm.
We don't know what she's melting down about though.
She could be tired. She gets frustrated a lot. The words aren't there, but teaching her sign language helps a lot because she can like
I
actually communicate.
love
Versus,
that.
yeah, when she wants milk, I've tried to teach her the sign for milk. Like milk. This is milk, right? It's like
That
udders.
is horrible.
It is what it is.
No, no,
What
we
else
are
would it
not
be?
cows. We
I mean,
can't be
it's,
like
we
this.
lactate. It is. No, it's this. Yeah,
Oh
she
my
does.
God.
She does this.
I am not, no.
That's what she
Wait,
does.
she does that one
She does.
hand.
Yeah, she does.
She's like a rock star.
Like we're like at the park, and I'll be like, "Gee, we're gonna go home," because she just dropped to one nap this week. So like we're trying to like reconfigure meal times, and like she only nurses before her naps. So now we're like rearranging when she nurses, and I was like, "Okay, we're gonna go home. We're gonna eat lunch," and she's like, "Oh, milk, eat milk." Like, yeah, at home, at home.
Now in the park.
Yeah, she would like that.
Do you breastfeed out in public? Or have
Not
you?
anymore. I
Yeah.
did. I didn't care
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, but not anymore because she's so wild. She's not like having like it's not like her only source of nutrition, right? So she's not
Yeah.
like nursing for 20, 30 minutes anymore. It's just like a quick sip.
Is she like so into eating food and everything now?
No,
Oh.
not at all. We're having a really big problem with it. Not a big
Oh.
problem, but she just like is not into food. She has a lot of tightness. I totally
Mm,
recommend if you have a baby, a newborn, get them checked out by OT and chiropractic for tension in their body because she's
okay.
had all of this like tension without any like physical cause, like not any like bone cause.
Okay.
but it's the tension in her body from birth caused one of her legs to be a little bit shorter. It'll even out. It's not like a big deal. We got an x-ray and it's not like a bony uh
It's just like one side's
abnormality.
tighter. Oh,
And it created like
interesting.
an uneven roll on one of her legs, and it's also caused a lot of tension in her mouth, and that's affecting her teeth coming in slowly, and it affects her not wanting to eat. She doesn't want to eat. If it's too hard to chew, she
Whew.
won't eat. She hates
Wow.
meat. Yeah, because it's too hard with with the tightness that's already there. So we have like some stretches that we're supposed to be doing, but she hates it. She just doesn't, yeah, she's just like
Oh,
not that into food right now. I think it'll come, but like she's an alien baby. She didn't want to eat.
yeah. Well, and like again, I have a lot of kids that are like, I want to be vegetarian. I'm not
Mhm.
eating animals. And so
Mhm.
just,
We're working with
I
it. I'm
think,
not like, yeah.
yeah, people might find it naturally like, oh, my
Mhm.
kid, like, yeah, like I think there's like that fine line of like, I want it to be comfortable so she can if she wants to eat meat, but also like,
I'm not going to
would
push her.
she?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I'm the clients I'm thinking of, one is a vegetarian and the other is not. And I was like, oh, how are you going to raise your baby?
Hmm.
And they were like, that's a big source of contention. It's
But
like,
also, it's their
yeah,
choice. I feel like it's the kid's choice.
to like you want like I think one parent was like, let's give them meat, and then when they have a ability to make choices, they can decide, or
Exactly.
let's
Yeah.
not give them meat, and then when they have a choice to decide, they can choose. But it's like, where do you start them off?
With meat
Why?
because they're growing so rapidly. Their need for
Yeah,
protein and fat is so high, and the easiest way to get that is with
meat.
animal. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of meat do you feed babies? All the kinds?
But maybe it's whatever we eat.
Yeah.
We just like cut it up real small for her. And since she doesn't eat meat very well, I have like desiccated liver capsules that I'll like open it and pour it in applesauce. So she's still getting like the minerals and the vitamins from
Wow.
an organ meat without having to eat the meat.
Why are organ meats like such the rage again right now?
They're so blood rich that
Oh,
they're yeah, your livers, hearts, kidneys, they're highly vascularized versus
yeah.
like a muscle, like it is versus like a muscle. So you
Yeah.
get all
Yeah.
of that like iron and B vitamins and zinc, and like there's a lot more that's in an organ meat.
Do you think we used to eat organ meats and stuff a lot more?
Yes, traditionally you ate everything.
Yeah, right.
Hmm.
I know, like, even my Australian grandparents, they used to eat kidneys, and they're
Hmm.
farmers, and they used to eat all the sheep brains, you
Yeah,
guys.
don't let it go to waste. I couldn't do that.
I could let that one go to waste.
Oh. I could let that one go. Not if you're starving, you know? It's food is food.
Um, Speaking of baby Maeve,
Hmm.
how has your emotions been around her?
They've been a lot better than it's like you come out of the fog of the first year, like, oh my God, like we fucking made it. It's the first year's a lot, especially
Yeah.
with a baby with such like high contact needs, could not
Mm.
set her down for any amount of time
Yeah.
for like 9, 10 months. I like just have been able to start putting her down for naps, and she'll nap independently for a good nap, but not at night. She still sleeps at night, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But she's just like a high contact baby, and it rearranged her life so quickly. Everything changed. Everything had to be about her to meet her needs, that it was like so emotional the first year, and I feel like it's
Mm.
finally leveling out. She's more independent now. She'll play independently for a little while, which is nice. She can like walk wherever she wants to walk. She can communicate. It's so nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So nice. But I have like my parents have been living with us. They moved up from Texas. I convinced them. And while they were like finding a place to live, they have been staying with us. And I've just noticed like patterns and around emotions and
Mm.
like the emotional monitoring that I had been participating in that I don't want to do. And I do it to Maze, and I didn't even anticipate like going on
Mm.
car rides, right? Babies don't like to be in the car for very long. They're confined. They want,
Yeah.
especially after they start walking, they're like, absolutely not. I want to move. Why am I
Right.
strapped to this seat? So like I would always give her toys. I would have toys in the front seat that if she like chucked one, I could pass one back to her. Like it
You're
messed
like,
with
I
me.
got a
That's a form
system.
of but that's a form of emotional monitoring, like not
Oh.
letting her melt down.
Like
It,
just placating her with the
yeah,
next toy.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
And that doesn't teach her how to be bored. That doesn't teach her how to
Mm.
cope.
Mom will
how to
always be there with a
regulate.
toy or something.
Yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
always going to be stimulated. Um, Even
Oh,
like during diaper changes because like they hate getting their diaper changed.
yeah.
So I'll hand her like the remote to the fan, or I'll hand her like a bracelet she can chew on, or like literally at literally anything, Jess. You will hand them anything just to get them to not scream at you. Um,
Hmm.
but it's a form of emotional monitoring to not let them melt down. So it's an active practice, and I am staying more regulated through her meltdowns.
But okay, if she's melting down, right,
Mhm.
and you don't give her like the remote or whatever, like you let it happen, then you still regulate with her, like whether through your
You
voice or
breathe.
soothing.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
hug. If it's really normally, she'll just fuss for like a couple of minutes if I let her fuss in the car,
Mm,
and then she's better.
mm.
But if she was like really melting down, we would pull over and hug it out.
So
But
cute.
there's also the happy song by Imogen Heap that plays on a loop in our car. It's like it's scientifically proven to stop baby meltdowns, and it works. It works every time.
So is that a mom hack or
Mom
emotional
hack,
monitoring?
mom
Okay.
hack, the happy song, Imogen Heap.
Yeah. And I think that to me, that's like, how can I create the most peaceful environment, which we do as adults anyway. Like I create a peaceful environment so that I don't melt down. And that
Hmm.
includes music. And maybe I should get this happy song.
But also let yourself melt down. Like it's important to
Yeah.
also feel that. And there's so much emphasis on like white noise, swaddles, like all of these
Mm,
things to keep your baby contained, happy, occupied, stimulated, these like bouncy chairs with all this like stuff in their face. Like
yeah.
they don't need all of that. And we have a bunch of overstimulated kids running around. And it's because we're constantly providing them stimulation. Like we need to let them be bored.
Yeah. Yeah, because so much creativity comes from boredom. Like I
Mhm.
like, and I'm not saying like I want to go back to the way that I was parented or we were
Right.
parented or the previous generations, right? Like I love the progression, but I think there is something to figuring it out,
Hmm.
playing with, sticks and,
Yeah.
toilet paper rolls and like coming up with fantasy things. And it's so fun to do that as a kid and to watch kids do that because they're wildly creative.
Right. They are. You just have to like give them the space to do it. But I didn't realize that like not letting her melt down was a form of emotional monitoring.
This is good because I am a super emotional monitorer.
Hmm. Right. And it's
And
like
yeah.
it like adds to your own anxiety when
Yeah,
you are emotionally monitoring. It's not alleviating anything. You can't control their emotions. It's
right,
just making
right,
you anxious because you can't control it and you're
right.
trying to.
It's like those parents that are like, okay, this is the 12, like when I used to babysit kids, they're like, this is the
Mhm.
12-step process to get my child to sleep. And I was,
Right.
whoa. And they're like,
Let it
do
go.
not deviate from the process. Do not do step one before, like I was
Oh
just
my
like, it was
God.
so intense. But I felt that they were like, we finally found something. And of course, it would
Mm.
probably change the next time. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, that intensity and like having to maintain that, that's what's the draining part of emotional monitoring. Yeah.
I've been reading this book too. I've been listening to this book on Audible actually, um, called Hunt, Gather, Parent,
Oh,
and it's about how like these indigenous tribes. She's a I don't know sociologist, anthropologist, one of the two, and
yeah.
she went and lived with like a Mayan family and like an Inuit family, and saw like their kids are the happiest and the most cooperative in the family, and like their preteens get up and do dishes without being asked. Their 9-year-olds will clean the house without being asked. So it's like, how do you raise a kid with that wherewithal? Because like
Yeah.
we're obviously not doing it in America.
Yeah. Like, how do you get your kid
We're
to be
not doing
your
it well.
living maid? I'm just kidding.
But like I think the term that they use is accommodito. So it's like
Oh,
how do you raise a kid that's accommodating to the family,
hmm.
that and she highlights a lot of really interesting points. I don't subscribe fully to any ideology
Hmm.
at all. I feel like it's dangerous to do that.
That's very
But I
you.
but I like pick and choose some pieces of this that I think I'm going to incorporate into raising Maeve. And like the gist of it is from like a young age, like toddlers in America, we have the tendency, and this is probably how a lot of us were raised, to be shooed out of the kitchen. Go outside while
Mm,
I clean. Go
Mm,
play while and then like toddlers want to help. They automatically want to help. They try to grab things. They try to get involved and parents shoo them away. Like, you're not going to do
mm,
it right. You're not going to do it
right.
this way. It's going to be faster if I just do it by myself.
Yes. Yes.
What you're doing is training your toddler out of helping. What you're teaching them is that their
Mm,
role in the family is to play.
mhm.
And then all of a sudden you want to throw chores at them when they're like 7, 8, 9, and they're like, I'd rather play video games. You told me my role in this family was to play video games and you were
Mm.
going to take care of it. So these like Mayan and Inuit families, they let their toddler play. Like, if I have been pulling up a chair to the kitchen counter and letting Maeve see what I'm doing, right? She's too young
Yeah.
to handle anything. She wielded a knife at me the other day. So she, she, and it's watching and learning, and only if they're
Yeah.
interested. If they're not interested, like, let them scurry back. But if they come
Yeah.
back and they're interested and they want to be
Yeah.
involved, let them be involved. If they grab the spoon, let them grab it. Don't try to do it with their hand. Don't try to, because then you're teaching them that what they're doing isn't correct. They'll lose interest.
Yes.
You have to hand it over. You have to let them do it. Let them clean, and they have to be contributing in a meaningful way. You can't give them a fake broom. They want the real broom.
Mm,
You can't
mhm.
go up and sweep behind them. Let them sweep. It's not going to be
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe you fix it later, but you can't like immediately correct. Like, you are giving them what she call it, your family membership card. And I think it's
So
so interesting
cute.
because I was definitely raised that way, like not allowed to be involved. I know my parents were raised that way, not allowed to be involved
Mm.
in household chores, and like they didn't. It contributes to not feeling like a part of your family, not feeling like a part of your family team. And I think that that has been a through line in like self-esteem issues with teenagers, with middle schoolers. Like, they're already coming from a family where they're not contributing in a meaningful way and feeling a part of that team into an environment where they're like, oh my God, who am I and how do I fit in?
Yeah.
And I think that she's like cracked the code. Like Pluto moving into Aquarius. Like, how can we feel more connected to the world around us in a more like secure way internally? And it starts at home. It starts like feeling a part of your family's team.
Yeah, and a lot of what I'm hearing, because I hear this from the kids that are on Earth that I channel all the time. So it's like
Hmm.
really nice to hear that like there's a research,
Yeah,
behind it
there is.
too. But it's like that's all they want. They
Mhm,
want
they
to
want to
hang
be a
out
part
with
of the team.
you. They
Yeah.
want to be part of the team. And I think what's hard is that we also as parents have to like what is it? Divest from my house has to be perfect. It has to be clean. It has to look like the fucking Instagram houses. Fuck that shit.
Hmm.
Like, I don't even think those are real houses, you guys.
They're
And I
filters.
love the people who show their real houses because you're like,
Hmm.
this is what a real, like, nobody's kitchen counter is that
People live
clean.
here, right? Mhm.
There's like 10,000 shits of things on my counter right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I think that's part of it too. It's like, because when I talk to parents around this, I'm like, this is what your kid is saying. They're like, they kind of realize it. They go, oh yeah, I have been just like trying to get it done quick and trying to do
Hmm.
this. It's like, how can you change your need to get things done and fast? And yeah, really give them like let them cut the carrots or let them
Let them.
whatever. Like, and
Hmm.
like get over that your carrots might not be like whatever, perfectly sliced or done fast. And it's like
Hmm.
we are going too fast. We
You have
have
to
to
slow
slow
down.
down.
Nothing
You
can get
have
done quickly.
to like
Yeah.
go at their like match their pace. I think another one I saw was like when you're like out walking with your kid and they want to like stop and like look at like the 10th thing of whatever
Hmm.
grass or moss or rock and you're like, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. That trains them not to stop, not to
Hmm.
slow down, that they always have to keep going.
I
But
know.
they found that whatever interesting and fascinating. And again, as a parent, you're like, but we're on a walk.
I know.
And it's like, and we've got to finish the walk, right? Or whatever it is. And I get it. There's sometimes where it's like you have to go. And I've been with
Hmm.
I'm thinking of my friend who we were walking with her two daughters, and we were just like wandering. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh shit, my parking.
Yeah, I
And she
gotta
had to
go.
scoop them up and they wailed and they
Oh, they get so
cried,
mad.
and it was
Hmm.
just like, sometimes kids we gotta go because parking.
And it's okay to be upset. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to let
Yeah.
them be upset about that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But I think that's beautiful. I love this membership of a family.
Hmm.
And I think you're right, leading into the teen years. And I have a lot of clients who have teens that they want to form like support groups because they don't know how to support these teenage kids.
I know. And I think it really does stem from not feeling like they have a meaningful place in their own family.
Yeah.
They were trained out of it.
I was definitely a meaningful member. Like I had to do my own laundry, make my own food, make my own
Hmm.
lunches. I kind of hated it actually.
I
I
mean,
was like, I'm a fucking kid. My mom to make my lunch.
that's a part of being in this family.
Right, but they were teaching me independence. So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
am. And I think the other day I was just thinking like, when somebody dies and they say like, "Oh, I think about them all the time," or whatever. Like I never knew what that meant until my
Hmm.
dad died, and now it's just like any topic that comes up that's like related in any way to him, I'm like, "Oh." But the
Hmm.
other day I was like, "God, I am so grateful that I can cook."
Yeah.
I was watching, unfortunately, Worst Cooks in America, which is like
Hmm.
a Food Network show, and oh my God, I was like, are these people one real?
Yeah.
Two, are they that bad? And
Hmm.
then I kind of realized, like, if nobody taught you how to cut an onion or do whatever, or how to like work in a kitchen, and I realized like how much my dad actually taught me from
Hmm.
showing me and teaching me, like, and I'm like, what a valuable skill.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you don't know how to like, because I can make anything I want. I
Hmm.
mean, for the most part.
For the most part.
Yeah.
I can figure it out.
Yeah. But I can read a recipe, I can make
Yeah.
substitutions. I know that if I need a in a certain, dish or pan or whatever, if I don't, or I can like wing it. And because I've started cooking again, I have like no desire for takeout. But
Yeah.
what's hard is that sometimes I'm too tired to cook. So like last night
Mm.
we just, made really yummy ramen with a soft boiled egg, which was
Yum.
delicious.
That
But
sounds
yeah,
delicious.
it was. But yeah, it's just this like this feeling of like learning from your parents and getting those skills at a young age. It's invaluable.
I know that it feels really hard to like switch that narrative if you're a parent
Mhm.
to do that work because you have to unlearn what you learned. You have to become aware of what's not working. You have to
Yes.
unlearn it. Then you have to relearn so that hopefully it's second nature for your kid. Like
I think you have to
hopefully.
unlearn it, you have to grieve, and then you have
Mhm.
to relearn.
Oh, you have to
Because
grieve.
the grieving part is like, what? But I was
Hmm.
taught all this and blah, blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah. What? Doesn't work anymore? I think that's the big, like, I don't know what's the word, but it's like, oh, we can't really use stuff from the past.
No, and it feels like parenting. I get why like people don't have kids. People our age are like not having kids. It feels like really
Yeah.
big work.
Yeah. Well, this I watched this woman. Again, when I say watch, it's Instagram, you guys, okay? When I say read, it's a long post. No.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So this woman was saying she's like, the one thing that I wish I would have known about motherhood is that it's supposed to be collective. You're not supposed to raise kids alone. And she's like, we are raising them in this individualistic society. And she's like, this is why it's so hard. And she's
Oh
like,
yeah.
she's like, people, she goes, why do people keep coming into motherhood? Because they're like, oh, wow, like people seem to be doing it. And she's like, no, she's like, mothers are busting their asses. They're da 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 da. They're overworking, all this kind of stuff just to make it functioning, right? Like if if
Hmm.
if mothers didn't, because they will do anything for their children, right? A lot of them will
Right.
anyway. And so it's just like this, it's kind of like this catch 22 that there's like this feeling of like I would do anything for this kid. And
Hmm.
so they're like, "Oh, really? Anything?" And they just keep piling on the shit
Hmm.
because you're like you're going to protect them, you're going to do whatever, like you're their mother, right? So
Hmm.
it's just this really interesting feeling of like how do we get more collectivism
Like this
in parenting? Like, do you see?
collectivity.
I mean, you and I have talked about like buying a couple houses.
Hmm. Raise kids with your friends. That's how you do it.
Right. And I think a lot of people are starting to, not a lot, but like you hear those stories like,
Hmm.
oh, these friends bought like this piece of land or these, five houses and they're doing that.
Hmm.
I think they're small little communities, but
I think it's important to have people rally around. I don't like the saying it takes a village to raise a child because I
you
don't
don't.
agree.
Oh, what does
I
it
can
take?
raise them. It takes a village to support parents.
Yeah.
It's not to raise. You don't get to raise my kid. I'm sorry, you did not push them out. I will raise them.
I
But it
think
takes
that's
a
what a village takes a village means. Like the village is like your chiropractor and your therapist
right,
and your
right.
bestie and your grandma.
But there's this idea behind it that like, oh, other people need to raise your kid. Like I need to pawn off my kid on other people so that they can
Oh,
raise them. That's the village. Like,
oh
no,
no,
I'm
that's just
that's
a
me. That's my
mom who needs a
responsibility. Yeah.
break.
Right. Like who just
Yeah.
needs they need connection with other adults, but not to raise them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely easier doing it around friends or making friends who have kids that are around the same age. I have some mom friends and it's made a huge, huge difference. But I feel like where the scales kind of tip to unmanageable is when moms are expected to entertain their children.
Mm, mm.
You do not need to entertain your child in any
Love
way.
it.
Life is play. Just include them in
Yeah,
what you're doing. Like give them their family membership card.
I
Let
love
them
that.
help you make their food. Like don't do it all while they nap. Let them help you fold clothes. Even like,
Yeah,
yeah, they might take all the
yeah,
clothes out of the drawer and but then you just reiterate, folded clothes go in the drawer. It's
yeah,
just a practice. Like they're just learning, you're teaching them. Include them in the things that you need to get done, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom, like around the house.
yeah.
And you don't have to entertain. Life is play.
Oh, there she
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. But
I love that.
that takes it away from being completely unmanageable. In North America, there's such a trend toward like there's such a child-centered focus. And this book highlights that, this Hunt Gather Parent book highlights that like it's not, we've been doing it wrong. We've been putting too much emphasis on like, I need these toys to entertain my child. We're going to go to the park so that my child can play. We're going to go on the weekends to the zoo, the science museum, also my child can play. And reframing that narrative to what does the family want to do? And just bringing your
Yes.
kid with you. What does the family want to do? If like she says that she's gotten rid of all the toys, she just like includes her kid, like they have coloring supplies. That's pretty much it. And she just includes her in everything that needs to be done around the house. She'll take her to work with her sometimes. And like the child is so much calmer and it's it's got an easier time regulating because they feel like a part of the family. They feel really involved and connected with the parents. And I love that. I feel like it is unmanageable the way that we're doing it because it was never supposed to be child centered.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is a reaction probably to the so lack of child center,
It's
right?
like
It's like
the
pendulum
rubber band
swing.
effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna go all the way in the opposite direction before you come in the middle.
Rubber band, pendulum, it's all the same
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, it's like, and I like that. It's like coming into that space of like taking from the past and taking from other cultures, like what really kind of works and integrating in it to what you're doing and
Mhm.
understanding that. So
Yeah.
what do we
Fascinating.
think? Do we think that this little girl wants to come see her mama now?
Yeah, I think it's probably
Okay.
nap time.
We have other fun things on the docket to talk about. But we'll
I know.
save
I
those for next week.
really want to talk about the aliens next
Unzipping
week.
the universe. You
Yes.
guys, I saw an alien unzip time space continuum. I don't know.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about that next time. So come back, tune in to the next episode. We're going to go back to talking about aliens.
Yay!
Yay!
Bye.
Okay, bye for now.